We're back with the on-the-spot correspondent team. I'll say it again. The Congressional Black Caucus. Pick it up.
Well, I don't think we know. I mean, we're in a new era. This is a new territory. I think that if you look at the Congressional Black Caucus, particularly the way they related to Bill Clinton, and to some extent the way they related to Carter, in many respects, to me, they abdicated their responsibility for being advocates for our community. Now, how they're going to work with the new President Obama, how the Democratic majority will work with him, I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see if the Congressional Black Caucus is able to carve out a unique working relationship with Obama. I would suspect that many of them come from urban districts. Many of them represent highly populated urban districts. He comes from an urban district. I believe
He
that's
didn't back
going.
him. Not to interject, but
What
they didn't back Obama.
Well, they didn't, but politics being what it was,
Yeah.
I think
Status quo.
it's more of a concern for us in their districts whether they backed Obama. He's going to work with them because they got to work with each other.
We'll keep Charlie Rangel, for example, with, what's it, Bob Johnson?
Bob Johnson, Charlie Rangel, Ed Town. I mean, a number
Dinkins,
of.
they was out. I mean, it's one thing. They went. They
Obama.
borderline called him a shoe shine boy.
Yeah.
They said Charlie and them Bob Johnson was really hard. If I'm not mistaken, didn't Bob Johnson put some drugs in his background, a drug seller? They went hard. So now there was a lot of people from the caucus that did not back him.
Right.
You know, the beautiful thing about Barack Obama's campaign, because it was built by the people, who does he
doesn't
know?
know nobody. That's
he doesn't
it.
know anybody.
Right.
He
So
got it.
that's the problem.
And then you know what though? That's it's very. I think a lot of people are almost scared of that. They're scared of where he's going to go, and they're scared of what. That's a lot of power for one man to have, where he essentially built this huge coalition almost all on his own.
Yeah.
You know, he got a lot of support. But I think moving forward, I don't think he's the type of guy who's going to have any vengeance or to sit back and try to outcast certain individuals, because he has shown, from the small things he did with John. I don't know if people noticed in the one debate where they had the town hall meeting, where John McCain was walking around aimlessly.
Exactly.
And Barack Obama was getting in front of the teleprompter, but Barack Obama stood up next to him.
Mm-hmm.
Just to try to, stand up next to him so he didn't look like he was a fool. Mm-hmm. So this is a guy who is, in just that one moment, it showed me a lot that this is a guy who was coming after me. It's obviously he probably doesn't. Right. He hates my guts, but I'm going to work with this guy.
Mm-hmm. And ironically, again, that speaks to the character of how he got elected.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
I have grown up in racist America, and I have experienced racism, and it is hard for me. I think I could probably provide some good leadership to a local black congregation and maybe a black district, but it takes a unique personality to bring people together, and I think that's what he does. Now, don't forget Jim Clyburn in South Carolina supported him and did and went to bat for him at a very critical time. But we need to ask at the local level, what does it mean to have someone like Charles Rangel, someone like Towns, who does not support the aspirations of not only black America, but a changing America. Lastly, I'll say this. I was talking to a good friend of mine the other day, a brother by the name of Butch Lewis, who happens to be real tight with Bob Johnson. And Butch Lewis is very progressive on a lot of issues. Former fight promoter, just always there in supporting black causes. But he and Bob Johnson are very tight. And I said, Butch, when you talk to Bob Johnson on the night of election, I said, when black folks and white folks are crying all over the country and they're talking about the historic implications of this great victory, I said, go up to Brother Johnson, put your arms around him, and just sit there and say to him, Bob, God is really good. Because just think, if your stuff had worked, man, if your stuff had worked, we wouldn't be here right now.
Exactly.
And I think that's important.
Was the question how President Obama was going to work with the caucus, or whether or not the caucus, given their history of difficulty in performance, would his election inspire them to relate to the bottom, as opposed to, because I do agree both with Ryan and Reverend Tillard that President Obama has exhibited how he works with negativity and you know and disunity at certain points. He's exhibited that. I thought the question was, can the Black Caucus exhibit this idea that from the bottom up, you know, they're able to understand and work with President Obama. And I think that the question is a local one. Does longevity mean